By the end of this video, you'll be able to insert ads or custom content into repeating groups within your Bubble application. So in simple terms, you're going to be able to add in a group every third or fourth cell within a list where you can display an advertisement or other piece of content for your application.
Show me the money.
This is an essential feature if you're creating a social media or news app which contains a feed, or even a marketplace containing a list of products or services, and you want to display ads for the purpose of revenue generation or to link to another page or application. So let's get right into it by seeing a preview of what we'll be creating and how we're going to do it. Now, for this tutorial, I've done a bit of pre-work and I've created this application called Headphone Zone, which is a bit of an e-commerce marketplace that allows users to sign up and buy and sell headphones. You'll notice that it is a bit of an Amazon clone. However, in this video, we're not going to spend any time showing how I've replicated this. What we're going to focus on is this functionality here, where we have 3 items followed by a custom group, which we'll call an ad. Now, my example is an e-commerce marketplace store style web application. Your instance might be an Instagram feed where we're showing 3 posts and then a promoted post, or it might be a news feed where we're showing 3 articles and then an ad or something like that. In my example, we're doing an e-commerce store where we can see 3 products and then an ad, and then another 3 products and then another ad, and then another 3 products and another ad. This goes on all the way down to the bottom of our page where we see the end, and that's just the end of our page. Like I said, the functionality or the type of site doesn't really matter. I'm going to show you how we are going to have a repeating group which shows a certain number of products followed by a custom group, which in our case is an ad. Now, I'm also going to spend a bit of time talking about the ad itself. What you'll notice here is we have different ads which are made up by an image, some text, a different background color, and then a button. For your example, for your application, you could have a single static group, which is the same ad all the way throughout the page, or it might be, for example, if you have a paid Bubble application, it might be a reference to Google AdSense or a third-party ad service or something like that. We might show that in another video. However, I'm going to show you how we are going to display different ads throughout our feed so that you can have a bit of a different user experience or a different type of copy or images to serve as your advertisements. Now, before we talk about this, let me just quickly set the scene, because this might be a scenario that you're currently in. Let's imagine that you have a repeating group. You have a list of products or database entries you're showing. In this Bubble Editor index page, I have the same thing. I just have a repeating group of products. Now, this is referencing the products in my database. We have an image and the name and the price. If I head to my data tab, I have this product data type with these 3 fields. And in my app data, we have our list of products. Like I said, the setup of this isn't quite important. What we are going to look at is our ads. Now, in another bit of pre-work, I've set up my ads. I've got some text and an image and a background color set up as different entries in my database. Like I said, you can have this reference to a single ad or a third-party service or something like that, but I'm just going to show you how we are going to reference ads in our database within our feed. Now, I wanted to show you this because I think this is where a lot of people viewing this video will be starting from. They'll have a single repeating group where they want to insert a custom group. If you are watching this and this isn't the case, if you want to see how you can set up something like this, there might be another video or another tutorial in Bubble's channel or on buildingwithbubble.com where you can find something like this. I just wanted to set the scene here to say that this is where we're starting from. This is the point in time where we are creating this functionality. So now that that scene is set, let's chat about how we're going to do this. The secret here is that this is actually not one repeating group. This is actually 2 repeating groups. If you can see here, we have 3 products followed by a custom group here, which is our ad. What this actually is, this is a single cell within a parent repeating group. So what we actually have here, we have 3 products followed by an ad as one cell in a parent repeating group. We then have another 3 ads and another 3 products and then another ad in the second cell of our parent repeating group, and so on and so forth. The secret to doing this is having a parent repeating group show these 4 items, which we're going to show how it's going to reference product 1, 2, 3, and then 4, 5, 6, and then 7, 8, 9, which is the pretty difficult part. And then in this group here, we have add 1, and then add 2, and then add 3, and add 4. Looks a bit complex, and it is a little bit of magic, I'll say, a little bit of maths magic. But this is what we're going to show in this tutorial. So let me head back to my point in time. We have our repeating group. Let's see how we're going to do this. So like I said, what we're going to do, let's call this existing repeating group, let's call this our child repeating group. We're calling it our child repeating group. Let's now go ahead and let's add in a second repeating group, which is going to be our parent repeating group. Let's quickly rename this to be parent repeating group. We don't need to write product or anything, that's fine. The type of content will be product, and the data source, we're just going to do a search in the current database for our products. Now, I'm not going to set a fixed number of rows because we might have 1,000 products in our database. We might have 20. I'm not going to set any restrictions here. I am just going to get rid of my separator and my border style. But just for visibility, let's go ahead and make this a flat color background. Let's just make it a light red here, just so that we can see what we're working with. I'm also going to not fit the width to the content. Let's also make it a minimum height of 0. Now, what we're now going to do is we are going to add our child repeating group to sit within our parent repeating group. A little bit of mouse magic here. I'm just going to sort of put it underneath my parent repeating group in my elements tree so that it sits within my parent repeating group. Now, for this child repeating group, let's fit the height to the content so that we actually see what we're working with. And within my group here, I'm also just going to set just a temporary background style, a flat color of just, let's say, a blue color, just so that we can see what we're working with. Now, what we're going to do, let's head to our child repeating group and let's set a fixed number of rows. Here, I'm going to set the fixed number of rows to be 3, but this is just for my application. You could have 4 cells and then an add, or 2 or 5 or anything like that. I'm going to reference 3. So later on when I show the calculations, anywhere I've put 3, if you put 4, you replace with 4. This is just the occurrence that I'm doing. I'm showing every 4th cell as an add. Now, a key part of this is something that might be a bit strange. What I'm going to do, I'm actually going to add an input field into my parent group. Now, when we do that, we can see here, actually I've just put it in my child group. Let's move it up to our parent repeating group. Here we have this input field. What I'm going to do, just temporarily, let's keep this to be visible. I'm going to set my initial content here to be dynamic data, and I'm going to set it to be the current cells index. I'm also going to have the content format as an integer, meaning it's a number. Now, why do I want to do that? This is because this is going to be my parent cell reference. When we reference the parent cell in the child repeating group, it can be a little bit different, just to use the standard parent group cell or current cell like that. During my testing, I found it quite difficult, so that's why I have added this separate input field, which displays the number of the parent group cell. Let's just see what this looks like. Let's get rid of this other preview tab, and let's go and see a preview of what this does look like. Now, at the moment, we are just showing parent group cell 1, and we are showing items 1, 2, 3. Here in parent group cell number 2, again, we're showing items 1, 2, 3. We're just showing the same 3 items over and over again. A key part of this functionality is actually referencing items 4, 5, 6, and 7, 8, 9 as our parent repeating group goes down along our feed. So a key part of it is that in, for example, in parent group cell 2, we have to do some maths to calculate items 4, 5, 6. And we're going to show items 7, 8, 9 in number 3 and 10, 11, 12 in number 4. We do have to reference this value here in these calculations. I will mention that you might be able to do this with a state. However, I just find that this is nice and simple. Doesn't look great. So let's go ahead and let's head to our layout tab and let's actually hide this element, and let's collapse it when hidden on the page load. So if I hit refresh on my editor as well as my preview, I just wanted to show that when we do this, it actually now hides. So it looks normal. We don't quite see it. However, it's still there. Bubble knows it's there and we can reference it in our calculations. So the next thing that we're going to do is we're going to figure out how in these child repeating group instances, we are going to show item 1, 2, 3, and then 4, 5, 6, and then 7, 8, 9, so that we can recreate that consistent feed look. To do this, I'm going to have to do some maths. So we are going to want to, for our child repeating group, we are going to want to search for products, yes, but we only want to search a certain number of products. We want to show items from 1 to 3 in our first parent group cell. In our second parent group cell, we're going to want to search for items 4 to 6, and then 7 to 9, and then 10 to 12, and so on and so forth as we go down our parent repeating group cells. Now, you actually cannot, or you should not, hard code this. You should make it dynamic, and that is why we are referencing this parent group cell number, because it is an important integer in our formula. Now, what I'm going to do, I'm going to write the formula, and then I'll explain what we're doing. So we are going to add an additional operator to the end of our data source. Let's say items until. Now, we do have to use arbitrary text here, and the arbitrary text is where we're going to put in our formula. So what we are going to say is the items number until we are going to say we are going to use that reference, the input parent cell's references value. We are then going to say minus 1. Then we are going to say multiplied by 3. Like I said, I'm showing 3 rows. If you're showing 4 rows, you use 4 or 2 or whatever. And then we are going to say plus 1. This is our formula to find the lowest number of products that we're searching for. So in the first cell, let's do some quick maths. The first cell in our parent repeating group will be replaced with number 1. We are minusing 1, which is 0, multiplied by 3, which again is 0, plus 1 is 1. Let's jump ahead to our third parent group cell. Hopefully we're going to end with number 7. We're going to have 3 minus 1, which is 2, times 3 equals 6, plus 1 is 7. Let's jump ahead to our fourth, which should be, I think, number 13, I think. So 4 minus 1 is 3, times 9, actually it's 10. The fifth one is 10. So just trust me, this is the items items from number is actually what we're going to be searching for. It's arbitrary text, and it is going to be converted to a number. So what we're seeing here, we want to search for products, items from number 1. But then we want to search for items until we're going to, again, use some arbitrary text. Now, this is going to be a slightly different formula. We are going to, again, reference our parent cell reference's value. So in the first cell, it'll be number 1, but this will simply be times 3. Again, if you're using 4 rows, it's 4, 2 is 2, or anything like that. We are simply saying just the reference value times 3. And again, we then have to say that this is going to be converted to a number. So what we're doing is in the first cell, we are searching for items number 1 to 3. In number 2, it'll be 4 to 6, and so on and so forth. Now that we've set this in place, let's refresh our preview and let me show you exactly that it has worked. Now here we have our complete list. We have our full list of products, and it is in that correct sequence. We have item number 1, number 2, number 3, number 4, number 5, number 6, number 7, number 8, number 9. That is how you can use this parent and child repeating group calculation and formula and way to show that in this full list. So a little bit of complexity there, but if you want to screenshot it, these are the two formulas. We have this first one to work out the item from, and this is the item until. Now, again, you can do your maths and say, all right, if we're talking about number 4, it should be 10, and item 2 is 12 because 4 times 3 is 12. Just wanted to quickly explain that and show that these are the calculations. This is a pretty key part of this functionality. Now, let's go ahead and let's add in our ads. What I'm going to do underneath this child repeating group, let's go ahead and let's create another group to sit within our parent container. Now we have here our parent group, which contains all of these. For now, I'm just actually going to, before I start to add in my cool functionality, let's just show a red group here, which just has some text in it and says this is an ad. Now let's just, so that we can see it, let's just make it white. Let's now head back to our preview, and I just want to show that this is exactly how it's going to work. So let's just do some styling here. Let's set a height here. This height is 200 pixels of those cells. So let's hit a fixed height of 200 pixels. And let's also just add some margin. Let's add 20 to the left and 20 to the right. Don't think there's any at the top, so that's fine. I'm going to now head to my preview, and let's refresh again because I want to show you how it then gets inserted. So we have our ads, and then 3 more, and an ad, and 3 more, and then an ad, and 3 more, and then an ad. What I now want to show is how we are going to actually reference, let's just add 20 pixels of margin to the bottom again here. Let's now show how we are going to display our first ad in our database. So we have these 10 ads. I want to show how we are going to reference this is an ad, and simply all we have to do is just say we are referencing the parent group cells references value. So this is an ad number 1. Now, if I refresh again here, you can see that as we go down our repeating group, again, we have ad number 1, ad number 2, ad number 3, ad number 4. We're going to use that to reference the correct ad from our database. This is only in my instance where I've created a bunch of different ads. You can do something different, or you can, if you want to have one ad, not quite important, but here's how we're going to do this. So let's add in our groups here. Let's add in all of our info. So what we're going to do first and foremost, let's just get rid of this text. At the moment, this group, let's call this group ad. At the moment, we don't have a type of content or a data source. Let's change this. Let's call this our type of content ads. Here, we are going to use as a data source. We're going to do a search for ads. Now, at the moment, we get this error saying that you're referencing a list of ads. However, you want to show a single ad, which is 100% true. So we are going to search for ads, but we are going to search for ads item number. If we're in the parent group of 1, we want to show item number 1, number 2, number 3, number 4, and so on. So again, we're going to use our parent cell reference. This is value. So we're going to show the data from ad number 1 in this group here. Parent group cell number 2, we're going to show ad number 2, and so on and so forth. So let's do that. What I'm going to actually do, because this is a cell, we are going to let's just add another group in here so that we can see in our background. Let's call this ad content. Now, the type of content, this is where we can now reference the parent group's ads, just like that. That's fine. We can just leave that. Let's say for our layout, we don't want to set a minimum height of 0 so that it fits in our group. Let's now change this background color to be dynamic. So in our data, we have this custom background color, which are all these different hex codes. I can actually reference that as the background style color. So if I choose the background color, I can just get rid of this hex code. I can insert dynamic data, and I can reference the parent group's ads background color, just like that. Now, important part here, because I've set my background color data type to be text, that just replaces the text within the property editor to be this hex code here, so it will reference it. Let me now go ahead and I'm going to add in an image. So let's add our image, which is going to be for our ad as well. Let's just rename this ad image. We should always update our titles of our elements. What I'm going to do, let's reference a dynamic image. We are referencing the parent group's ads image. Now, because I've also set for our data tab, I've set our add image to be of type image, it is of course going to reference that nice and easy. Now, I do want these to all look the same. So what we're going to do, we're going to fix these to be an aspect ratio. 1:1 is fine. Let's just set our width. Let's make this 180 pixels, and let's also add 10 pixels of margin to the top and 10 to the bottom so that it fits in the middle. We'll go 20 to the left and 20 to the right. And let's also just say that we are going to process our image with Imgex, and we are going to crop or resize to fit the dimensions by cropping. Now, I'm sorry if I'm going over this. This is just all pretty standard bubble stuff. I might actually just make this 16:9 so that it looks a bit nicer and a bit wider. This is all pretty standard bubble bubble stuff. However, if you want to learn more about this, like I said, there's other bubble videos on our channel where we explain this in more depth. So I've just changed the aspect ratio. Let's also change our width. Let's make it a max width of just 300 pixels here, just so that it fits a little bit nicer in our ad. What I'm now going to do, let's add our text next to it so that we can now have the copy for our ad. Now, what I've realized that I have not done is I have not set my group of elements here. My layout is still a column. It needs to be a row because we want to set these side by side. I'm going to just say here that we are going to insert dynamic data, the parent groups ads text. Let's make this, because we have a colored background, let's make the font color white. Let's also make this nice and big. Let's make it, let's see 24 pixels. We'll see if that works. And let's also center align this vertically. Now, what I'm now going to do is add, lastly, just our button, the button of sign up today, because we are encouraging people to sign up to use Headphone Zone. I'm going to, I know you can't see it, but I'm going to put these two elements in their own column container so that the button sits below the text. And I'm going to have just some margin around this group. Let's say, let's go 20 pixels, just in case. We'll go 20 to the top, 20 to the bottom, 20 to the left, and 20 to the right. And let's also just add some spacing between our text and our button. Pretty standard stuff. So let's see now what this looks like. Let's close this and let's run another preview here. So here we can see we have our list of headphones. We now have our first ad here. We have 3 more items and then our second ad, and so on and so forth. We've now replicated that functionality that I showed earlier in my demo. I might just so that we can have the full experience, let me just remove all my styling just so that we can get it to the point where it looks great. I might just quickly do this. Actually, let's make it none. Let's also make our child repeating group cell color to also be 0, nothing like that. Let's also update the font weight here so that it can be bold and nice and stand out. So let's now take another look at this. We're going to refresh. Let's see if we have created that experience. We have our first 3 products followed by an ad where we are encouraging people to sign up to Headphone Zone. We now have 3 more items followed by another ad, followed by another 3 and another ad, and so on and so forth. And there's one more thing we have to do. What you'll notice is that we still have all of these additional ads here. Now, why this is a problem and why this is even happening is because in our database, we have, let's go count them. We have products, we have, let's see, we have 18. What our parent group is doing is our parent group, because we are searching for products, it is going to display 18 cells. We only have about 10 ads, so we're going to see our remaining ads, and then we're going to show the rest that were the backgrounds rather. So back to our bubble editor, and what we're going to do to ensure that we don't show any additional ads is we are going to set a condition for this group ad. Now, what the calculation is essentially doing, we are searching for ads with the number, of course, that is our parent cell reference. So remember how we created that input field? Here we are showing ad 6, here we are showing ad 7, we are showing ad 8, number 9, and number 10. But those parent cells are empty. So we need to do a calculation. We need to define a condition. So I'm heading over to my conditions, set a condition for our group ad. So when we are saying here, when the parent cell references value multiplied by 3, I'll explain this shortly, is greater than or equal to we have to scroll down, the parent repeating groups list of products count. This element is visible? No. What are we doing here? Times 3, which is 18, is greater than our parent repeating groups list of products count. So if we go back and we see that we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18 products. So if 18 is greater or equal to 18, we don't want to show that ad. What about number 7? So we're looking here at ad number 7. Here at ad number 7, 7 times 3 is 21. That is greater than the list of products count. we don't want to show that again. So we only want to show up to ad number 5, which is 5 times 3 is 15. Is that greater than 18? No, it's not. So we do want it to be visible. By setting that condition, if I now go ahead and hit refresh, we can see here that we have our 3, 3, 3. When we get to our 18th product, we don't show any more ads, which is really cool. So what we've done here, we've created our parent and child repeating groups. We then have our custom group, which is our ad. At the end of your list, you may want to have pagination, or you may want to have something down the bottom here to say go to the next or something like that. If you have more than 18 products and more than that number of ads. This was just to show how we can set every second or third or fourth or fifth group or cell in a repeating group to be an ad or some other bit of content for our application. So nice and easy with some complex formulas and calculations, but hope this has been helpful. Just like that, you now have the ability to insert ads or custom content into a repeating group within your own Bubble app. As you can see, it's never been easier to build something like this without having to write a single line of code using Bubble's tools. Look, if you found this video useful and you wanted to stay up to date with any additional Bubble resources we share, I'd always recommend hitting that subscribe button on our channel. For now though, I just wanted to say a huge thank you for watching this specific video, and I wish you all the best on your own no-code journey.